Well, that's a very good question. A winning physique mainly, when it first started out, you just had to be big. I have some hilarious pictures of me winning Mr. Europe. I cannot see one muscle. I was just bigger. And this is why when Arnold came on the scene in 67, first time I ever seen anyone that big, he wasn't that defined, but he had big arms. And I'd never seen arms that big. And he actually blew everyone away his very first competition. He didn't win. They gave it to the American guy. I think it was Chester Yorton. But that is all it took. You just had to be big. And I think way back then, I didn't we didn't take any stuff. So, but then I heard that other guys were taking something called Dianabol, um, just to get big. I cannot remember ever having dieted for competition until the 1970 Mr. World. That wasn't much either, but I learned because I was influenced by some guys who knew better. Rick Wayne and Arnold himself started talking about proper nutrition. And we only started taking nutrition seriously, I think, around 1970, 1969, 1970. Because I remember I was in Barbados and Rick Wayne called me for the 1970 Mr. World competition. And was it that one? Anyway, he said to me, "Are you coming to the competition?" I said, "Yes, I weigh about. I'm all arrogant now. I weigh about 220, man." He said, "But are you cut?" I said, "Cut? What's that?" I said, "What do you mean a cut? Are you defined?" I said, "Yeah, but I weigh two 40s, 215, 200, something like that." I gave him my body weight. But he was interested in, "Are you cut?" And that is the first time in my entire life I have ever heard the word cut. 1970, McWayne talking to me about coming to the 1970 Mr. World in New York. I'll never forget it. When I reflect, it seems very funny to me. Um, I don't know if I answered your question, but most of us were looking for size. 21-inch arm. Arnold had a 21-inch arm, wasn't defined. His legs were almost as big as his arms. But that was it. We looked for something that stood out because we thought, I'm talking 1967 now. Okay. We thought 1968 now. We thought size was it. And this is a typical example. And I'm going to talk more on this subject. I'm going to talk because I lived it. I lived it from beginning to end. When Arnold first came to the United States, he weighed about a ton. But Zane didn't weigh that much. I think Zane weighed half that, but had the better physique. And that is when I started looking at bodies a little bit differently now. A different era. Although I didn't want to be as small as Frank Zane, because we thought a bodybuilder had to be big. You got to be big. And that's what we ate for. A lot of oatmeal in the morning, a lot of oatmeal at night, whatever. Anything to get mass.
So basically, Frank Zane changed the game when it came to size versus aesthetics.
I would say that. Um, and it is because he came up against Arnold. I think if he had come up against someone same size but not as defined, okay, big deal, he's more cut. But he came up against a giant and one who came over from Europe with a lot of brouhaha behind him. Oh, this big guy is coming from Germany. He's a giant. So when he came over, yeah, he expected to win. I have a long story on that, but I'm going to talk more about it on my YouTube channel or on my RC3 app. But Arnold coming to the United States showed us two types of physiques. Frank Zane, nicely defined, nicely built, smoothly built. Arnold, big monster. Like I said to you, not as defined. I'm talking 1968. This is why I ratted on so much about being big, being big, being big.
When did Arnold realize that it was important to look aesthetic as well?
That night.
That night when he lost against
Yes.
Franklin?
That night. He knew he had work to do. Um, because the next time I saw him, he wasn't. He was defined and brown. And in England, where he came from, England, Germany, and Austria and stuff, we never tanned. Well, I didn't have to tan, but those guys never tanned. Every guy to him white as milk, and compared his physique. When he came to the United States and he saw Frank Zane, brown as a berry, um, I think that he also learned from that.
Yeah, these days bodybuilding is different, man. It's these days when I competed, I changed race. They made
Yes,
me
yes.
8 shades dark.
Yeah, they made guys
So
into
they
black
made
guys
shades
now.
fucking dark.
Yes.
Black.
Advantage for us. I never thought there would come a day when everybody would want to look black. But here it is, brother. we deal with it.
All right.